Hi everyone, just as a reminder, my name is Jason Martz, and today I kind of want to talk to you about something that I feel like most people never really put together. It's something that I really never thought about until just one day I went to this ranch, and at this ranch I saw this donkey, and this donkey just kind of stood out to me. It's not something, like I said, that I really anticipated ever thinking about, but I felt like this donkey really was foreshadowing something in the Bible that just no one ever really thinks about. So I kind of want to start with, what is a donkey? It seems kind of like a stupid question, but I think most people know what a donkey is. But in case you don't, a donkey is basically a domesticated version of a horse. It's a work animal. It's something that typically is seen in third world countries, not so much in the U.S. anymore, but in third world countries where they're hauling all sorts of objects, really. They are very strong. They're very compact. But there's something about them that stands out, and it's a distinct symbol on their back. Now, many people will say, wow, that's great, you did some research and you've basically determined that donkeys are a domesticated animal with cool designs on their back. Well, many people wonder, how does this even relate to religion and Jesus? In the NIV version, the New International Version of the Bible, donkeys are specifically mentioned about 140 times. Many times they're mentioned as property or prized possessions. It was pretty much a blessing to own a donkey. They were the means of getting work done and hauling things back and forth. It's almost like donkeys were the first form of cars or trucks to haul things around. And although it is not mentioned specifically, it's believed that Mary actually rode a donkey guided by Joseph on their way to Bethlehem for Joseph to take part in what Caesar Augustus called for in the census, which is mentioned both in Matthew and Luke. It is at this point in time that the foreshadowing could have really begun. You see, Mary could have very well been riding on the very animal that bore the symbol of punishment and death that Jesus would ultimately receive. Now, are you still lost with the foreshadowing symbol that could have been shown here? It's later on in Luke 19 that Jesus himself rides a donkey. Luke 19:30 through 31 actually says, "Go to the village ahead of you, and as you enter it, you will find a colt tied there, which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you untying it?' tell them, 'The Lord needs it.'" Now this is a very interesting moment because this is a baby donkey that no one has ever ridden before, and the disciples actually spread their new cloaks on the donkey for Jesus to sit on. Now Jesus requests this donkey because he's going to ride into town to proclaim that he is the king who comes in the name of the Lord, as he rode on his way to the temple. This day is very important to mark because this day is what became known as Palm Sunday, which is the Sunday before Jesus was crucified. This moment is actually also foreshadowing of the things to come. So many people are probably wondering, if you haven't figured it out already, what is being foreshadowed? For starters, donkeys are work animals. Although a prized possession, they're considered the lowest of low animals. They were really just used for work. That's symbolic of the way that Jesus lived his life. He associated himself with those that no one particularly cared for or necessarily liked. He spent time with the poor, the sick, and the needy. So donkeys are a great symbol of the way that Jesus lived his life. The great foreshadowing here, though, is the fact that Jesus' life revolved around donkeys at two very important times in his life: his birth and his death. You see, donkeys have this very distinct symbol on their back that I've mentioned, and that symbol is the one thing that took his life: a cross. If Mary really rode on a donkey to Bethlehem with Joseph, then they both saw this very thing on the donkey's back that would ultimately one day take the life of their child. And Jesus himself rode to the temple on the back of a donkey that also bore this foreshadowing symbol of the cross that would take his life just a few days later. So next time you see a donkey, look at the distinct cross on its back and thank God above for giving his one and only Son to die on the cross for our sins.